Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matt Brady, and today I wanted to show you my own 2018 Mazda MX-5 Miata. So if you haven't seen any of the previous videos, I'm just trying to go out and make some fun videos showing what cars are like in the real world on some fun roads, and I'm just doing them, you know, I'm basically improv. I'm just jumping in the car and driving. So anyway, back to the car. This is a 2018 Mazda MX-5 Club. It has, you know, they advertised 155 horsepower, something like 150 pound-feet of torque. I don't know. Honestly, if you care that much about horsepower specs, you don't really buy a Miata. So basically, this car is it's the best thing to me, and I just love it. I don't know how else to explain it. I've had other Miatas in the past. All my friends know that I'm one of those crazy Miata snob people, but as of recently, I'm expanding my horizons a little bit, trying some new cars. But I will say, driving those higher horsepower Mustangs did not even, you know, remotely make me dislike this car anymore. The fact that you can use the power in this car all the time, I can zing it to red line literally every day. I hit red line over and over and over, and it's the best thing. So let's go for a drive and we'll talk about the car a little more. Okay, so I'm gonna go to some of the local fun roads around here, the same roads that were in my Mustang videos. They're kind of the only good curvy, twisty roads around, but hopefully I can show you guys, you know, just why I love this Miata so much and why there's so many other crazy Miata people like me out there. So right away, one thing you notice driving these cars is there's just this willingness. Like in every gear, it just feels like it wants to be pushed a little harder. It's hard to explain. It's like it begs to be just driven as fast as possible, which for this car is actually attainable on on public roads. The shifter is just super direct. It like you slot it into every single gear, and it's like it takes purpose to get it into each specific gear. It tells you exactly what you're doing. You know, it's very, very rare that I've ever missed a shift in this car, basically, given I'm pretty used to it, and really all Miata shifters feel like all other Miata shifters out there. So if you've driven one, you know what they all feel like, basically. The steering is electrically assisted. Compared to the old generation, you know, it was said that this does not have as much steering feel, which I guess, I mean, to an auto journalist, sure, I'm sure it doesn't, but I mean, I'm a normal person, and yeah, the original Miatas, they do feel a little more mechanical in the steering department, but this is just as direct, and it's a very light steering feel, which personally I think is what matters the most anyway. And on roads like this, man, this car is perfect. It's like a little go-kart, and you can drive it almost like an actual go-kart. Like, it's got a lot of body roll, which everybody talks about, and frankly, I don't think matters at all. On a really fun back road, a little body roll, I think, keeps you honest. It's something you learn to live with. I hate being stuck behind trucks. I've driven it on track on 3 occasions. The last one at Gingerman, and I feel like for a stock package, the body roll kind of helps you learn the limits of the car quicker, and at the same time, I guess it kind of gets you more used to the idea of cars moving around a lot behind you. Like, this car is always doing something in the rear end, and to drive it smoothly, you have to genuinely be smooth with all of your inputs. You have to learn how not to make little corrections. You're doing all the time in this car, because you're just basically that sounds stupid. Let's just drive for a second and I'll try to collect my thoughts. I don't want to try. See, that's a little oversteer coming out of the corner. Oh man, it's so good. And everybody's, you know, talks about the body roll like it's the worst thing in the world on these cars. it's really not. I mean, driving on track with the stock power levels of this car, if you go to any track day, if you're a decent driver, you're going to be keeping up with cars through all the corners that are a lot more powerful than this thing. Just because you learn to actually exploit all the limits of this car anywhere you're at. Now, given sometimes that body roll can be a little bit of a pain in the ass, I guess, you have to, you can't just throw it into corners with reckless abandon without actually knowing how the chassis is going to react. To give an example, like if you're somebody that's never driven a Miata before in their lives, this car actually can be a little bit unsettling. Specifically, I let my buddy Duncan drive it early on after I'd met him, and he owns a Fiesta ST and drives that every day. The Fiesta ST is a very different car to this. That car, if you guys know much about them or have ever driven them, they have a very, very stiff suspension from the factory, and they come with pretty grippy tires from the factory. So really, that car you can just point and shoot. Like, it goes around corners with super, ease, and it's kind of difficult to unsettle that car, especially it being a front-wheel drive performance car. He jumped in this car and started driving on Sugar Bottom Road here. I mean, Mexico. And I think, and he said this afterwards, that just the amount of body roll and flop to the suspension kind of made him nervous a little bit when he was driving quickly. And that's something that most people will say is a negative to this car. Oh, one second. God, look at this. You can throw it into these corners, and if you're smooth with your throttle inputs and your steering, it's just the best. I mean, I feel like I'm a damn race car driver right now, and I'm doing 65. Whereas in that Mustang, it kind of felt like I was just cruising, It wasn't so exciting through those little bends. Where was I? So Duncan, he got out of it, and he said he didn't like the way it handled, which the funny thing is a lot of journalists agree with that, and I completely disagree, because I look at this car differently than everybody else. This is a learning tool. Like, this car is such a willing partner when you're driving quickly on a back road, that it helps you learn how to drive quickly on a back road. Like, there's a lot of cars that will just mask your abilities with stiffer suspension. There's 700 RPMs, hard on the brakes, coming in this left. There's so many cars. I bet that guy was a little scared. So, where was I? There's a lot of cars that mask your abilities with really stiff suspension, really grippy tires, a lot of extra power, and when you get into the even more expensive ones, driver mode, stuff like that, that will, I guess, kind of decrease the amount that you have to learn to drive the car quickly. This thing, if you want to maintain your speed, especially with the tires that I have on it right now, you really have to learn how to drive it smoothly in order to go fast. You have to focus on slow in, fast out, hitting the right line through a corner. And that's, mostly on track, where the lines isn't important. On the street, you stay in your lane. That's the biggest, most important thing. But it's hard to, I guess, explain. Let's take it through some bends here. And these tires these tires I have on it are the worst, like 500 treadwear, all-season tires you can think of. But it doesn't matter. Like, they talk to you enough, and the chassis is willing enough that you can just throw it into these corners. If you stay smooth with the throttle and the steering, and just push it as hard as you can. And I'm full throttle right now. I've been full throttle through both of those gears. On the brakes a little bit. There's third. All I've done to this car are an axle back exhaust. I mean, it's basically a muffler delete is what this car has. And I've done power stop track day brake pads, which so far, for the last 1,000 miles I've been driving this car, they feel just like the original ones, except they dust a lot more. I don't know what they're going to be like on track yet because I haven't taken it there. But they're suffice for the street, that's for sure. And, you know, oh, here we go. I love this part. It's a little jump there. It's like the best thing. It's so rewarding just to carry momentum on a road like this. Now, would a little more power hurt this thing? No. I mean, absolutely not. It would make it a little more difficult to drive fast, at least with the stock, you know, the current suspension setup of this car. All of that body roll would become even I guess it would make it a little bit more difficult if you had the rear tires trying to work harder, basically. It could still be a hoot on track, you know, and I would love to be able to, you know, to throw a turbocharger or a supercharger at it or something like that, but I don't want to do that. Like, this car has enough power for me to have a lot of fun with, and at the same time, let's make sure my GoPro's there, it's reliable. I mean, it's dead reliable. I'm never, like, I've had this car on track for probably, I would say it's got 10 hours at speed on track, and it never overheated, not one single time. It never felt like it was cutting power. Absolutely no problems with this car at all, and that it's bone stock. I haven't done any different brake fluid yet. I just finally switched brake pads, but the brake pads that were on it were stock, and they lasted for 3 track days and 9,000 miles before or maybe it was 10,000, I can't remember, but they lasted that long before ever taking them off. There was actually recently an article talking about the best track cars, you know, under like 40 grand or something like that, and I think it was by Road and Track. This was in like their 3 that they were showing us. It was the Miata, the Camaro the Camaro 2-liter turbo 1LE, and the BRZ TS. This is by far the softest of those cars, and I mean, the least track capable as far as lap times. But I tell you what, people, like if you can just try to help yourself not just see power numbers and make it, you know, an irrational decision about a car, just drive one of these things on a back road like this and try to focus on just your driving level and getting better, and it's almost like I've bonded with the car. Like everything it's doing, it tells me what it's doing. The tires, they start howling early. They show me exactly how much grip I have. The rear end is constantly flopping around. It's just talking to me, letting me know that it's playful, it wants to keep going, but at the same time, it's telling me exactly where the limits are, and I'd have to be stupid to actually go over those limits. This car lets you get right up to the limits and stay there over and over again on the track, lap after lap, on the street, just whenever you want. It's the best. You know, on a racetrack, if you're actually going for lap times and trying to chase other people down, if they're in a car that's, you know, has a stiffer suspension, it's more well sorted, you're probably at a certain point you're going to reach a limit where you cannot catch them anymore. That's just the way it goes. But you're going to be having a lot of fun doing it and trying. You can keep trying over and over again, keep pushing this car, and it'll just reward you. That's what it is. Miata means reward in German, and there's a reason they named it that. This car, it rewards the driver. That's it. Anyway, I'm done. Thanks for watching this video. I'm sure most of you haven't made it this far through the video anyway. Sorry for the rambling in the first couple minutes. I'm trying to get a little better at all that, but at some point, I hope one of you I hope this video helps you to decide to try a Miata out. It will make you a better driver. It will help you have a little more fun in life, and you'll end up wearing flip-flops more. You'll take life a little less seriously, I think. I mean, that's what happened to me. It's the best. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. I've got a lot more cars to come. some more high horsepower stuff, some more handling stuff, momentum cars, you name it. I'm trying to show the world that the Midwest has a lot of fun cars out there, and we know how to drive them. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I didn't mean to say that again. Peace out. Have a great day.